Hello everyone, welcome to Retrader's Journey. My name is Leslie Pips. Welcome to another edition of Sunday Pre-Market, where we analyze the market and plan for the upcoming week. And basically, we create a watch list. I don't create a watch list because I trade the same pairs, but mostly it's more about preempting what the market might do and planning ahead. So that when the market opens, it's either you adjust or you execute. But the real bulk of the work happens on a Sunday afternoon, on a Sunday night when the markets are closed, and then you can take your time to look at your levels, look where the market is, reevaluate the previous week, which I've done over the weekend. But today is more about preempting the market, looking at what the upcoming week might look like, and obviously we make adjustment based on what the market does. Obviously, we don't create the market, we don't move the market, we just react to what it's doing and try to be on the right side of it. So welcome again. I'm gonna start with the euro dollar, and I'm gonna start on the weekly, and then let's see what the upcoming week has in store for us. Obviously, I don't plan these, I don't prepare for these, I just come in and do what I love. That's basically me recording these videos. I don't preempt everything. I look at the market and I analyze it for the first time with you guys. So if you jump on the weekly, if you look on the weekly, right? Last week we created a inside day failure. We didn't sweep the highs or the lows of the previous week, the week before last. So it was an inside bar failure. So what that means is it didn't sweep any of the low or the high of the previous week. We just failed to basically, the market failed to create a direction. So that's why it failed inside. It basically says the market was ranging for a bit. That's what it means. So if you look at this last week's candle, this candle over here, you can see it failed inside this, but obviously the previous week had a lot of volume, and obviously a lot of news. NFP had a lot to do with it, but obviously last week felt like a ranging market, right? So what are we looking for in the coming week? So if I look at the levels, right, some of these levels will make sense on lower time frames. I look at this order block over here on the weekly. As you can see, we traded below it, and last week closed below this area, came down, failed to close below this level, and obviously the NFP came in, and obviously we started pushing up, and then last week was failed, created a range because of obviously everyone was coming back from the news, and then we created a bit of a range. As you see, we opened here, filled a bit of this wick. Not all of it, maybe looks like maybe 40% of it, and we started to move up again. We closed above the opening price of the week before last. So we opened, traded below, and then we closed above. So we closed above this level, right? So that tells me, if you look at this run over here, the market, let me just draw my fibs. If I'll take it from this low to this high, you can see we reacted on the 50% of this current range, right? Obviously we broke structure, created high, and then pulled back into the 50%, reacted from it, closed above the 038. Now we almost closed above the 0236. So we are almost done with our pullback, and the market is looking like it's gonna create another push up, right? So you can see we closed above this level and reacted at a level here. You'll see it clearly on the daily, but this was the level that I was looking at, that we closed above it. So if I go on the daily to show you exactly what I mean, so that's the level, right? And we closed above it, reacted, retested this level, and then we create another inside day failure on Friday. So what we looking at this moment, we're looking at a retest again at this level, to see, because we removed up, failed to break above this order block, right? We reacted from it, pull back slightly. Now when we open, I'm looking for an open that's going to open and then sweep the low of this candle and then retest this level, and then we can look to go high and see what we do again at this level, right? That should be the target for your first trade, and see if we can flip this zone. Obviously this is a flip zone, and see if the market can flip this area. So we're looking for an open sweep, retest this area, and see if we can run into this level again, see if it holds or not. But this is where you're going to be looking to get out, because of it could easily react and come down again. So you have to be careful when you at this level. So this is the extreme of this small little range. So if we get a retest here, and we get a nice buy opportunity, this is the level that you're going to be looking to get out, and then wait for price to flip these order blocks and probably target this high and this long-term high on the weekly, this one here, because of this liquidity here. Let me get my draw. There's liquidity here and there's liquidity here, and there's a lot of liquidity here. So obviously this is, you first want to see what price does at these levels here, right? It can easily hit that, come back, retest this level, or push through it. So you just want to be careful when price gets here. Wait for it to give you to flip and retest, and then you can target this high, and this high, you know. So just have a look at it, and I'm gonna go in the lower time frame to show you what I mean. Let me just delete all of this. If I go on the 4 hour, you'll see exactly what I mean on daily. Obviously this is a bit of a range. When you trade the range, you want to trade the extremes of the range. Don't try to catch it in the middle, try to catch it at the extreme. See if we can retest this area here, and maybe we can do another run to retest this area. If you want to be conservative, you can wait for either of these, this low or this high, to be broken, because at this point we have free run at these highs and at these highs, right? Or if this breaks, we have free run at this low. Let me just get rid of this. Free run at this low, or at this gap, at this imbalance here. So that's what you want to be looking at. For me at the moment, I'm going to be looking for price, like I said, to sweep the previous to Friday's lows, give us another retest here, see if this level will hold. It might even go deeper to fill some of this gap and close above this area. So if you look here, there's this gap makes me a bit nervous. So if we can see like a retest here and a bit of a deeper retest to fill some of this gap, and then close above here, and then see if we can make a run. You know, if you're trading in the lower time frame, this is a 4 hour, maybe you want to see a wick trade into this into these order blocks, into some of this gap, and then close above this area. So as a wick, close above this area, and then wait for your confirmation to go further up. So that's what we're looking at. Obviously you don't want to just enter in these areas just yet. You want to see if price can fill some of the gap at this area and close above this area, and then you can look for a run to that high. So that's what you need to look out for when you're making a decision on this trade. So that's my euro dollar it's my euro dollar outlook for the coming week. Obviously Asia's going to open. We'll see it when we wake up in the morning what Asia has done, and then we'll make a decision from there. But just look out for these levels, because you can clearly see we finished our pullback. We started to create a mini trend. Obviously see high, correct, volume, correct. So we're waiting for the next volume to come and possibly come take out these highs here. Yeah, so that's my euro dollar. Going to GU. So these are my weekend. I'll do another video on what I do on Saturdays, so you can see exactly what I do. It doesn't take long, depending how many pairs you trade. It takes about an hour to just have a scan of the market and look at your possible trades you could have taken. It just gives you an exercise for you to exercise your model and exercise your brain to see like different setups. Obviously, the market doesn't print the same every week; it prints differently. So it just gives you those reps that you need to do to like keep your mind sharp on this sort of setups that you always look out for and that fit your system. So I'll do another video on that, on what I do on weekends. Hopefully you guys will learn something from it. Going into pound dollar. Let me take this out. Pound dollar. Let's start on the weekly. Let's see what the weekly does. Obviously, this was the week of the pairs, GU and EU. This was weaker last week. Obviously, you can see last week, this was not an inside day failure. This was obviously a push the week before last, closed with a big wick, opened, traded into that wick a little bit, and then we basically, you can see here, we took the liquidity above the previous weekly's high. So you can see here, it wasn't an inside day failure, but we haven't engulfed it yet. So we might encounter a bit of pullback, but you can see that we did sweep the high of the previous week on pound dollar. So obviously, same thing, did its thing. If I mark from the wick here to this wick high, you can see on the fib, same thing, 50%. Closed above the 382 and wicked the previous weekly highs. So that it did its job. Would have preferred to sweep the lows, but it did its job. So what are we looking for coming into next week? So we're gonna open, right? Hopefully we open with the run. As you can see, this is almost a full candle. So hopefully we open, maybe pull back slightly into this level, which is the 50% of this candle here, into the 50% of this candle, and look for bullish run. Open, pull back with the wick slightly, close above this area. But obviously this is the weekly. Let me go to the daily so I can show you what I mean. So obviously you can see that's the wick on the previous weekly's highs, but we failed to close above this level, right? Pulled a little bit of the gap, but if I move it to this order block, yeah, that's still a level there that needs to be filled. There's still a level there that needs to be broken, I mean. So what I mean is, I need an open, sweep Friday lows, and maybe fill some of this gap, retest this level, see if it'll hold, and then we can look for another run, see if we can make a run at this level as well, see if this level will hold, right? At this point, taking a long at this point, you basically at the top of the range. When I go on a 4 hour, I'll show you the range, I mean, top of the range. So I need a little bit of an open on Monday, a little bit of a fill some of this gap, or maybe retest this level, and then gear up again for another push. That's what I'm looking for, and then see if we can flip this area and possibly look out for trades above to here, targeting these highs for the next coming weeks. That's what I'm looking at, but I need the market to, even if it's a wick, to fill this, and I'll look for opportunities at the low of that wick, and we can look at starting a new run, So what I was saying, this is what I'm talking about. The wick, something to pull back, because the market is bullish, right? On the higher time frame, we can see we are breaking the lows, we are flipping zones. That means that there's a strong bullish bias at the moment. So I'm looking at just buying at this moment. So I just want to see Asia print a little bit low, even Monday print a little bit low to this area, and possibly on Tuesday we can look at coming up buying to these levels and see if we can flip this zone. Obviously, if you look on the bigger structure here, this is the middle of the range, so that's why I'm looking for a bit of a deeper pullback to come into a discounted area and see if we can buy from there. So this is the current 4-hour range, and price is trading in the middle of the range. So you don't want to be entering here because it can go either way. So you want it to create a bit of a pullback, see if this level will hold. If this level holds, then we can start looking for our buys. That's EU for me. That's pound dollar, I mean. Let's go to UJ. UJ, obviously same thing. I was doing my weekend work, delete all of this. I did do a bit of analysis on this, but yeah, so it was a bit of a nothing week on UJ. Obviously we did sweep the previous weekly's lows. This candle here, obviously it's a news candle, closed below all of this, but this is quite messy on the weekly at this area. It's quite messy at the moment, but we're still fading at this level. Let me go on a daily so I can show you. Obviously this is last week's range. Price didn't go anywhere last week, so this was a bit difficult to trade. Surprising I managed to find a trade. If you go look at my analysis on UJ from last week, it's on a channel, and this was a nothing week, but you can see this volume coming in, closing below this level. The whole week failed to break this level. So what I think will happen tomorrow, will open a little bit of a pullback into this order block, fill this gap, and then I'm only going to be looking at entries below this level and then targeting this and then targeting that, but only if we wick into this gap, hit this order block and close below this level. So by wick I mean, obviously I don't trade the daily, so I'm looking for a daily wick, and Monday to wick into this gap, close below this level, see if we can retest, and I'll look for entries because there's a lot of liquidity here, and here and here, right? So if I'm looking for EU and pound dollar to move up, I'm looking for UJ to start moving down again. So this is where I'm looking at a wick here on Monday, close below this level, and then I can frame my trade on Tuesday and look for my entries at this level if this retests again. If I go on the 4-hour, I'll show you that this was a nothing week. Same thing, you can see this big gap over here, massive gap. So on the 4-hour, if I go on a daily, let me just go mark it on a daily so I can show you. Let me mark this level on a daily so I can show you the 4-hour. There's two things that I can do at these levels, but it scares me a bit trading into the zone, right? Obviously if price comes in here, this is the daily order block, retest. If it gives me an entry to trade into this level, this is when if I'm being aggressive, right? But if I'm being conservative, I can just wait for it to fill the gap and then close below this level, and I can trade in here coming down here. That is the conservative trader in me. but the aggressive trader in me, depending how active I am on the market, I might look for an entry here, but it's a bit risky because it can just push up, come fill some of this gap, these gaps over here. So it's a bit risky, but the daily has framed it so that I can price shouldn't push past this level, because this is a daily order block, so it shouldn't push past this level. But if it does, then the aggressive entry, it becomes much riskier. So that's what I'm gonna look at, see if we can break into these and then close below here. That's what I'm gonna be looking to enter around these areas. This is the conservative entry, targeting these lows, and then we'll see what we do if we break this low and then come down here. If we break this range, we obviously gonna clean up all this liquidity down here, but the immediate target is this, because market sentiment can change anytime. So you just want to look for realistic targets, and obviously, and readjust if you reach that target, readjust based on it. You don't want to hold for this long, because by the time price gets here, the market sentiment might be different. Someone might say something in the news and the price might just shift. So you just want to target realistic targets. So that's what I'm looking at on UJ. I'm not going to analyze gold for now, because I don't love what's happening here, and I don't want this video to be too long, so I'll analyze gold probably tomorrow, after tomorrow, and then I'll do another video just on gold, just to show you guys on how to trade gold and how to be conservative trading gold, because obviously gold is very erratic, so you just want to be safe when trading gold. So I'm not going to do gold analysis. I'll do a separate video just for gold, and a very detailed video just on gold, but that's what I'm looking at. So thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate you.